your Divas division.
Look whose show you're on, sweetie.
I did it, you bitch.
I think every single diva should be lining up and congratulating me and thanking for everything I've done for them.
You're going to find out why I am the boss.
Kamusta mga kontrabida? Welcome to Turning Heel with Troy Gonzalez. I am your host, yours truly, and we're back with another episode of Who's That Girl, my interview series where I sit down and chat with women in wrestling from all over the world, both inside and outside of the ring. So before we do start, fair warning to everyone, if you consider yourself basic, bland, simple, basic bitch, please, this episode is not for you. Kindly find another show to listen to. I'm kidding. Please stay there. But please do be careful because today's guest calls herself the basic bitch slayer. All the way from Scotland. Handa na ba kayo kontrabidas? Who's that girl? It's Ruby Roberts. Hi, Ruby.
Hi, nice to meet you, Troy. How are things going?
Things are going great. It is December, so some people are busy with their Christmas decorations. I'm busy as a university student with finals week. How has your December been going? And how are you overall?
Overall, absolutely fantastic. I have just come off of a fantastic year. First full year professional wrestling. Get to travel the world, which we'll get to cover. But
Right.
yeah, no, I'm doing great. I'm actually in the same boat as you. I'm a student at the moment, so I am wrapping up sort of halfway point of the year, getting everything in before Christmas, and yeah, just bringing the wrestling year to a close and getting a week or so rest.
Right. So I actually didn't know that you were also a university student. So how are your academics going? It must be difficult to balance it alongside wrestling. So how's it been going?
Yes, I decided that I wanted to look into the sort of more scientific aspects of the physicality of wrestling and
Mm,
be able to apply it to my own wrestling, and then also hopefully in future be able to help other wrestlers with fitness and things like that. So I'm currently doing a sports science degree, so that I can
ooh.
improve my own wrestling and hopefully maybe go forth and take it on to help other people in the future.
Right. Okay. I'm really interested to see how those go. But before we do go on like straight on with like the main part of the interview and the episode, feel free to introduce yourself to the listeners just in case I might have missed out on some stuff. Who is Ruby Roberts? Go ahead.
So I am Ruby Roberts, the basic bitch slayer, or depending where you are, the international bitch slayer. I have spent the last year building a reputation as a ass-kicking, non-basic, big goth lassie, essentially. I've been representing Scotland, and I am kicking ass, taking names, and enjoying the hell out of it. So that's Ruby Roberts.
Right. And I feel like everyone who's had the chance to watch you, whether it be live or online, such as myself, have enjoyed watching you perform in the ring alongside your fellow competitors. And I'm really excited to speak with you today just because I did mention to you before we did start recording that I've been following Ruby's work ever since I sort of got exposed to like the Scottish wrestling scene with the likes of Ashley Vega, Emily
Mhm.
Hayden, Harmony Sky, Ellie Armstrong, so on and so forth. There's been
Yeah.
so many talented women from Scotland and the UK as a whole. So I'm really excited to speak with you. So let's jump right into some non-wrestling related stuff
Sure.
because we'll save that for the later on parts
Yeah.
because those are the good parts. So let's jump right in. So I've looked through your social medias and I saw that you attended your very first adult gymnastics class.
I
So I
did.
wanted to ask, how did that go and how are the flips going?
It went really well. I used to do gymnastics as a child, like a very small child, and it kind of fell away for other things. And it's something that I've brought back in to help with wrestling, and it went so well. Didn't break my backside, didn't fall down, so that's a success.
Right.
Um, it is a very different ball game though. A lot more emphasis on muscle control. So I'm really, really enjoying it. It's very different, but it helps so much with everything else.
Right. And I feel like it's a definitely different type of like exercise as well because going to the gym for cardio is one thing, muscle building is different as well. Wrestling is a whole other ball game. But gymnastics, Lord, you have to it's a really complicated like sort of exercise. So since you did
Yeah.
mention that you plan on incorporating some of your gymnastic ability into your wrestling,
Yes.
Does this mean we're gonna be expecting a flippier side of Ruby Roberts in the near future?
That is the plan. I've been on a bit of a journey. Like we'll cover it properly later in the interview, but I've been on a bit of a journey to exercise myself back to fitness and get back into being able to do all of these things. And this is sort of the next step for me. I used to be able to flip about and all sorts, and I'm like, right, well, we're bringing it back and we're bringing it into my wrestling. I used to love Lita when I was younger, so I'm like, yes, I want to get over
Totally.
that fear of throwing myself off a top rope. I want to be doing flips. I want to just throw myself about, have as much fun doing it, and look
Right.
badass doing it, hopefully.
Of course, of course. I mean, you're already badass the way you are without the flips yet, so you basic bitches better be ready when she starts going to the top row doing springboards, all right? But yeah, I'm really excited to see your repertoire in wrestling expand even more. Now, I've also listened to some of your interviews, and I believe you're a really big fan of horror movies, specifically
Yes.
those with vampires. So, do you have any
Yes.
favorites and any recommendations for me to watch?
Oh, so I'm a very classic vampire fan. One of my absolute favorite films was The Lost Boys. Um, it was one of the first vampire films that I saw, apart from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer film when I was younger. That I was just like, this is so cool. Everybody looked like a Billy Idol wannabe, and it was just really like grungy and rocky, and just like everybody was just attitude, 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 and I'm like, oh, I love this. Um, I'm trying to think other vampire films. There is one that I absolutely love, but the name of it has completely gone out of my head. It's a it's a Russian film. They did make an American adaptation, but it's a Russian
Oh,
film
okay.
about a young boy that falls in love with a young vampire and how that sort of progresses and the sort of pitfalls that can have. And it was a really interesting and sort of slightly less action and more cerebral film, but like I really enjoyed it. I just can't remember the name of it.
That's all right. Now, I do want to preface that I'm very much a scaredy cat. I hope that doesn't make me basic, but horror
No,
movies freak me the shit out. So,
yes,
do you have like any tips on how to get into movies, considering that you sort of got into horror movies at a younger age?
yes. I was introduced to horror through the kind of TV safe horror. So I was
Oh,
that kid
okay.
who would sneak up to my mum's bedroom, put the TV on, and then just like really quietly with it down really low, like sit and watch it when everybody thought I was sleeping.
Gotcha.
So a lot of the horror I was introduced to was slasher films originally, things like the original Scream trilogy, which is obviously now expanded. Things like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the kind of old classics. I very much started with those and then evolved it as I became less of a fraidy cat myself. I do remember watching The Grudge though and having to turn it off every 10 minutes to be like, right, no,
Okay.
need a breather. I need a breather. No, it's too far.
Right.
Um, um,
Right.
the Ring as well, actually. I don't know. I think it was like a creepy wee girl thing. It was just like when I was younger, I'm like, nope, too close to home, too scary. But
Right.
yeah, I almost sort of exposure therapy. I just kept watching them until I wasn't a big scaredy cat anymore.
All right, all right. So I'm gonna take it that I need to experience it firsthand for me to get over it. So
Yeah,
let me
baby
give it a
steps.
try. Baby steps. Not sure if December's the perfect time to do it because Christmas is coming up, but they're having like Christmas horror movies, right? So
Yeah,
ooh,
exactly. Like you've got Krampus, all the various iterations of Krampus. That might be a good one to start with since it is the season.
right, right. It's a sort of like a good way to get into the holiday spirit while getting to know like the
Yeah.
horror movie scene. So I'll definitely give it a shot. But now let's also switch gears because I want to talk about like your look because your hair is so beautiful. I mean,
Thank
it
you.
helps you stand out so much. I believe I might be a bit coral colorblind, but I believe it's a blue or dark purple sometimes,
Yes.
depending on how you dye it. But do you have plans on exploring other hair color options in the future?
I'm not sure. I always had this thing when I was younger, where I'm going to expose myself here a bit, where I said that when I started getting grey hair, I was going to just go blue. Um, I don't have that much grey hair. I think I have like the straight one or two, but it was
Right.
more when I started developing the wrestling character. I always really, really wanted like blue and purple hair. But I always made excuses not to do it. And then through wrestling, I was like, no, do you know what? This is the time. This is the time. We're going
Right.
to go blue. We're going to just see how long it takes for me to maybe get sick of it, or I might be this way forever. I don't know. Or various different iterations of blue and purple.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm a very primary colour person, which is ironic given my name's the basic bitch slayer. It's the basic colours. But I'm a big fan of like red and blue together, which is why when I went for the gear, and the hair, I was like, I really want that contrast. It really stands
Right.
out. It's noticeable.
Right, right. I did notice that. But it's also like the way you can be like super experimental with just with the color blade. You can add in highlights. You could even
Yeah.
go for different hairstyles. You go for a ponytail, so on and so forth. So it's really something that helps you stand out. And I'm pretty sure you're the only one in. No, I was gonna say you were the only one, but Harmony Sky also
Harmony.
has blue hair, so you
Yeah.
might have to come for her a little bit sooner or
We'll
later.
duke it out to see who gets to keep it.
Right, whoever loses gets their head shaved, giving Victoria Molly Holly WrestleMania.
There you go. Yeah, we'll sell tickets. We'll make it a match.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's also talk about something that I've been meaning to ask you because as I've done my research on your social media, I've noticed in your bios, you have your Instagram, your Twitter, and your YouTube that says coming soon. So,
Yes.
how soon is soon, and what are your plans for it?
So this year, I am going to be expanding into YouTube. Over the last year, I have been sort of doing TikTok, um, learning how to edit videos myself, do all these things, and I thought TikTok was a good way to sort of get into that in like wee baby ways, like oh, it's wee
Right.
15-second, 1 minute, 3 minute videos. And then this coming year, 2023, I'm going to be expanding into YouTube. I have a few different ideas, possibly doing movie reviews alongside my wrestling. As you were saying earlier, I love horror films, and I've always wanted to do like horror movie reviews. So I was like, do you know what? Why wouldn't Ruby Roberts do horror movie reviews? It's a massive
Right.
influence on every bit of my character and personality. So why not? But there'll be that. There's going to be match footage. I'm hoping there's going to be possibly promos, skits, pretty much whatever my little brain comes up with. I will be firing onto YouTube over the next year and hopefully onwards.
Of course. Do let us know so that we can subscribe to your channel and show you our support because we're really
Thank you.
interested to see where that goes. All right, now let's talk more about life as a wrestling fan. We all have our ways of starting in becoming fans of the wrestling business, regardless of however way we do.
Mhm.
But in your case, I believe you grew up in the Attitude Era, which was one of,
Yes.
I would say, the most iconic eras of wrestling of all time. And
Yes.
you've mentioned that one woman has severely, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but like greatly inspired you to become a wrestler. And that woman is the ninth wonder of the world, China.
Yes.
So, do you have like specific favorite moments of China? And talk to me how big of an inspiration she was for you.
So many. So first of all, I remember her coming out for the very first time. She came out the crowd, and everybody was like, "Who is this random woman? Who is that woman?" And she comes in and
Right.
she just gets involved. She's straight in there, and it came out of nowhere. And I remember sitting there watching that with my but at the time two brothers, like, what is going on? What? Me personally, I'm like over the moon. I'm like, yes, look at her go. Because I was always a tomboy when I was younger. I used to roll about with my brothers. We used to fight constantly, wrestle constantly, up until a point. Um, like I was always trying to get stuck in, and I was always that girl who was like, "Well, if the boys can do it, I can do it." So
Right.
when Chyna came on and was just doing that, she was just being this big, different, really cool looking, strong, badass bitch. And she came in, showed the guys how to do it. She was an equal. She had title matches with other men. Like she came in and did something that no other woman had been able to do up until that point. And for me, that was just, it was like the biggest breath of fresh air, but also like such an inspiration at the time. Um, I was really lucky that I kind of grew up round about a time where in the 90s you had loads of women in media. You had Buffy
Right.
the Vampire Slayer, which again had a huge impact on me. You had things on British TV like Charmed. You had Xena, Warrior Princess. And it was like Chyna represented all of these women, but also did it in her own way. Like she was built and she put effort in, and she was like she made sure that she was a machine. She went in there and did it her way, and I absolutely loved that.
Right. She definitely stood out because I believe this was the time of the Ivories, the Trishas, the Litas, and then you had China who was just this imposing figure. And
Yes.
I've always heard of stories of other wrestlers or even just wrestling fans in general who looked up to China because they never wanted to fit in the mold of the beautiful model because beauty
Yeah.
comes in many ways and China she was a Greek goddess. Oh Lord,
Yes.
she was built for the gods, and she was such an inspiration to everyone, regardless of whichever era they grew up in. Like in my case, I grew
Yeah.
up in the 2010s, so this was towards the Divas era, and the only powerhouse we had was like Beth and Natalia, and yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that might have been it. So, and maybe Karma or Awesome Kong for a while. And so to have China sort of, open the doors for them and the
Yeah.
contribution she's done to women's wrestling, it's amazing. And to see women like you pursuing wrestling because of her, it's
Yes.
been amazing. But how was it like growing up in such an iconic era of wrestling? Like, do you have any like favorite storylines during the Attitude Era?
See, for me, when I was younger, because I was quite young when the Attitude Era was happening, and then unfortunately, I'm assuming you'll have heard in the other interviews, I actually got banned from watching wrestling for a very
Yep,
long
I've
time
heard
by
of
my
this.
mother. We got far too into it, and I suplexed my brother through a telly. So we ended up stopping watching it when I was about 11, I think. But for me, almost anything The Rock did or Austin was just my favorite thing. I remember Austin's 316 speech, and
Yeah.
I watched it many times on repeat since, especially with my cousin Bobby Roberts, who is the biggest Austin fan in the planet. Um, he knows the speech word for word verbatim, and
Oh
we've watched
wow.
it together so many times because it's such a moment. It's such a special, specific moment that it's like it culminated in this iconic speech, this iconic imagery, the whole thing. I just that was for me was one of my absolute favorite moments in all of wrestling, to be honest.
Right, right. And I remember like they always celebrate it every year as well. Like they have like various like WWE superstars like recreate the promo and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I did not grow up to this, so I have to do a little bit of research when it all came out like March 16th of this year. I was like, what is this promo? Someone enlighten me. So yeah, but now looking back at it, I understand now why it was such an iconic moment. And I'm happy you did also mention your cousin Bobby Roberts
Mhm.
because you've also mentioned that was it him who started his own wrestling school?
Yes. That was actually how I got back into wrestling.
Right.
He started his own wrestling school called Respect. It is a wrestling company. It has since it is no more, but it's something that was so special to us. It was we had this environment that was just such a family environment for the company. Like everybody always had a great time working there, and it was really important that everybody got respect and got to um, have a bit of creative freedom, do a bit of what they were going to do, and just have a great time wrestling. And for 4 years, we got to do that. It was amazing.
That's really nice to hear. So, who are some of the people that you worked with in that wrestling school?
So you've actually mentioned, sorry, some of them. Emily Hayden was one of my repeat opponents in Respect Pro Wrestling, and that woman gave me the biggest run for my money. I've so much respect for Emily. We had a match at the weekend there for another company, and it'd been a while since we'd actually seen each other, and it was hard going, but it was fun. Like we proper gave each other a run for each other's money. We agreed beforehand. We're like, we're going for this, and yeah, just absolutely loved wrestling her. I also got the chance to work with. I didn't get a match with her, but I got the chance to work alongside Aisha Raymond, Jayla Dark. I got the opportunity to work with Ellie Armstrong and Harmony Sky, and they're all just amazing women and all so different. There's not one of them looks the same as the other, wrestles the same as the other. Every single one of them,
Right.
like I wouldn't call them basic, like for the sake, yeah, but like none of them are. Every one of them's doing their own thing, their own way, and they're all smashing it. And it's really good to see, but it's also really good because it means that the opponents are there. Like we all get to wrestle each other and keep improving and making each other better.
Right, right. It's that's what I always tell like when I got to interview them. Like the set of girls in the UK or like just even in the Scotland scene of women's wrestling is like it's really really diverse. So you got yourself, Emily, Ashley, Harmony, Ellie, so on and so forth, and
Yep.
everyone has their own distinct characters, distinct looks, and as you said, nobody looks alike. So it's a really
Yeah.
if you guys were put in one division, it would be an insane, like competitive battle to the top for sure. So hopefully we do get to see you guys all in the ring
Hopefully.
sometime in the future, which I feel like it will happen. But you also mentioned in the past that you got to train alongside the likes of Viper, who's now known as Dewdrop, and
Very true.
Nikki Cross, rather. I mean, so and you also mentioned that a fun fact was that you went to the same school, like
Yeah.
academic school as I believe Viper. So you guys still keep in touch with each other?
Once in a while, she's off doing the dream. She's off doing what we all want to be doing, and when we do get to catch up, it's really really nice. I always ask about how the pets are getting on. Just whenever we can get a catch up, we do. But she's just lovely, and it's for our area where we came from, the area that we live in, it's not an affluent area. They don't have a lot of money. There's not a lot of clubs around. They're trying to make it better, but it's quite a like a I don't want to say poor area, but it kind of is. They're trying to improve it, but it's an area where there's not a lot of opportunities for people to do things. So for Viper to have had the career that she's had, travelled the world the way she has, and then be on the national stage the way she is as Dewdrop now is so inspirational for, I mean, not just me, which like is weird because we're the same age, but like she
Right.
inspires me all the time. Seeing her do what she does, it makes me so happy, but it also is like, that's what I want to, that's the level I want to aspire to get to. But it also gives the people in our area someone to look up to. Our local school show the documentary that was made about her. They show it to other girls in the school so that they can say to them, like, this is what you could do. You don't have to take a traditional path. You don't have to do things the
Right.
way you go to. If you want to do things your way, go and do them your way. Like, there's nothing stopping you. And it's amazing. I'm really proud of her.
For sure. And I feel like she's off doing her own thing. And I'm a big fan of Dewdrop personally. I've seen her stuff on NXT UK. Now
Yeah.
she's over on Raw. Hopefully we get to see more of her in the future. But you did mention she's a big inspiration to girls like you over on Scotland. And we also have, as I said earlier, Nikki Cross, and we
Yeah.
also have Kaylee Ray. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the numbers or like the representation of the Scottish girls in the mainstream wrestling platform is starting to increase. So how
Yeah.
important is this representation of you guys over on the big leagues?
I think that it's extremely important. Scotland already has quite a reputation, but it's very much rooted in our traditions and tartan and our accents, basically. But the girls going and representing us all, not just the girls, because you've obviously got all the Scottish guys that are doing really well as well. But you know, for
Right.
me personally, I'm like, yay, the girls. But to see these women go over, represent Scotland in just the best way, but also show people that Scottish women are nuts. You don't mess with Scottish
Right.
women. It's like a well-known fact. We might be tiny, but we are all crazy. So it's good to see that um, that's being represented and that they're really doing us all proud. It's just fantastic to see, and also gives us all hope that there's space on sort of mainstream telly for more Scottish people or potentially different Scottish people in the future. Hopefully me. Um, but
Hopefully.
no, it's fantastic.
Right, right. And they are expanding to this whole like NXT Europe stuff. And when I got to speak with Ashley, she said that there were possibilities maybe of Impact having tryouts or even tours in the UK. So I feel like there's just so much doors that are
Yeah,
possible to be opened or already opened. They just need people to walk through them. So hopefully you're one of them because
like,
we need to end some basic bitches soon. And speaking of that, I want to talk more about your in ring persona. So you call yourself a basic bitch slayer. So
Yes.
for the sake of everyone's safety, what exactly is a basic bitch for you, and why do you need to slay them?
Okay, so for me, the term basic bitch is a wee bit fluid. For me, it's about your behavior. It's about the way that you carry yourself. It's not just the way that you dress or the way you put yourself across, because everybody's different. Everyone likes different things. I very much preach that people need to be their unique self. So I'm not going to call somebody basic because they like a certain type of dress, because they like certain.
Right.
But see if someone's behavior's basic. See if someone comes in and their attitude's not there, or they're too big for their boots, and they are just like, "I've got this. You have no chance." I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see. But yeah, it's about how that person behaves and carries themselves, rather than like the sort of traditional pumpkin spice latte and a wee tiny.
Right.
It's more for me how you carry yourself, how you put yourself across, how do you treat other people, how do you treat me? Um,
Right.
all of these things contribute to what Ruby Roberts considers basic behaviour.
All right. So, you guys better be on your best behavior if you guys do not want to be slayed by Miss Ruby Roberts herself. But speaking of that, storyline wise, who is the most recent basic bitch that you slayed, and how was it like working with them?
So, most recent basic bitch that I have slayed was actually the Struthers sisters. I was part of a tag team match for a company called SWE, where it was myself and Ronnie Knox, who works out of England. Tagged. It was a bit of a ragtag team. We'd had a bit of a match before where she had damn near tried to break my arm, and the
Ooh.
management decided that we had to play nice and make friends. So we got thrown together as a team. And to be fair, it worked out. I had a great time wrestling with her. The Struthers really gave me a run for my money as well. I was black and blue the next day, but it was fun and it was just good. The Struthers are a tag team out of Scotland. Two sisters, Maven and Raven. They are evil, give off maybe similar vibes. Like they have the flannels and like yeah. Um, I once did jokingly say like it's like two Eileen Warnos but much prettier.
All
Uh,
right.
but yeah, I had a great working with them. I would definitely do it again. But they were the most recent victims.
Yeah. It just so happens that every once in a while someone needs to be slayed, and unfortunately for them, it had to be them.
Yeah.
But throughout your wrestling career so far, who would you say has been your favorite or best opponent? Like someone you think you just have natural chemistry with?
Hmm. Someone that I wrestled really recently that I had great natural chemistry with, for like the first time that we'd ever wrestled, was Daisy Jenkins, who also is another Scottish wrestler. She is
Right.
a tiny little ball of energy, that girl. She's just excellent. We had so much fun. Again, puts up a fight. Like none of the Scottish girls are pulling anything. It's brilliant. Because I don't want to come in and have um I don't know how to put this. Like, I don't want to come in and have that kind of worry about
Right.
are you hitting each other properly? No, just
Yeah.
but yeah,
Gotcha.
I had a great time with Daisy Jenkins, and then obviously the person that I've wrestled the most over the last year is Emily Hayden, and we have had some cracking matches. I really enjoyed it, and none of them are exactly the same. There's always I'm trying to find a different angle to get her. She's always trying to find a different angle to get me. Trying all these different things. I've tried throwing myself at her. She's tried throwing herself at me. Throwing each other. Like technical ability. We've literally thrown every single bit of what we've got at each other over the last year, and it's just been excellent.
Right, right. I mean, like honestly, I agree. Like most of your matches that I've seen are against Emily Hayden, whether it be in tag matches or singles. But anytime you guys are in the ring, it's absolutely amazing. And as for Daisy Jenkins, she's an up and rising star. I've sort of like did some research on her work, and I'd love to have her as well in the future. But yeah, those are definitely two absolutely amazing names and absolutely amazing talents. We love ourselves some Russell Beach up in here. So yeah, speaking of opponents, do you have dream opponents that you would like to face in the near future?
Yes. So it sounds so sad. I have a list, but I do also at one point on the list just have everyone. I have this thing
Okay.
where I'm saying to people, I want to be the best wrestler that I can be, and not just like the best female wrestler I can be, like best wrestler I can be, which means that I need to wrestle as many different people in as many different places and as many different styles as possible and learn as much as possible. So, short answer, everyone. Um, Closer answer, there are so many people that I would love the opportunity to wrestle, especially I have been over the last year been able to go over to mainland Europe a bit better, like a bit more. I've been working out of Denmark, Sweden, and I've had an opportunity to work with some different talent over there. And there's some girls over there that I'm like, I want to wrestle you. Um, Regina is a fantastic wrestler out of, I think, Finland. I might have that wrong though. I have been wanting to wrestle her for ages, and she's been coming over to the UK, so I'm hoping it will happen soon, either on mat or for hers. I've got down in the south in England, there's Rio O'Reilly, there's Charlie Morgan, there's Jetta, there's all these names of girls, of women. Sorry, I shouldn't say girls, women that have been doing this for years, and I'm just like, oh, I want to wrestle you. Like, I want to wrestle
Right.
badly. I want to learn from you, but also like I want us to get wrestled.
Right, right. And as I did mention earlier, like the independent scene for the UK, surpassing even Scotland, like it's so diverse, so many different characters, so many different wrestling styles. I feel like everyone brings out something new to the table, and it's like you're having different flavors of food going at you, and you just want to try everything out and just see how it goes. But 2022, it's coming to a close,
Yeah.
and new year, fresh start. So, do you have like long-term goals that you wish to achieve in the coming year?
Yes, I want to travel more for definite. I am working on trying to, like I said, try to get to as many different places as possible. I'm just going to keep expanding on that this year and trying to get into more of Europe, see if we can get into other countries. I am also looking basically just to expand in every way that I can. I want to do more matches this year. I want to wrestle more people. I want to just keep expanding, keep getting better, and keep traveling as much as possible. Um,
Got that.
yeah,
All right. So hopefully you do get to wrestle all over the world. Who knows? Maybe appear in some promotions here and there. You never know what happens. But in terms of like your overall career, what is your end goal that you really, really want to achieve?
so I always give a diplomatic answer for this and then my real answer. So my
All right.
answer, see, to be honest, as long as I get to wrestle and as long as I keep getting to do this, I don't really care what level I'm doing it on. I just love wrestling. It's something that has completely changed every aspect of my life, and it feels like this is what I'm supposed to do. So no matter what, I'm just going to keep wrestling. I want to just keep getting to do it. But I would be lying if I didn't say that if it were possible, if I ever got the opportunity for a tryout or anything like that, I'd love to go as far as I could go. I'm not going to put like a cap on it. I'm not going to say a specific company here or a specific company there. But yeah, like let's just take it as far as we can go and see what happens.
Right, because I feel like any promotion, no matter how big the platform or stage, would be very lucky to have Ruby Roberts on there. So I'm really, really hoping for the best for you. 2023 is coming up, lots of new matches, maybe even new opponents. So we'll just have to stick around and see. But I'm really, really excited for what the year has in store for you. And it was really lovely chatting with you. So with that being said, before I let you off, do you want to plug in your socials and any projects you have in store?
Yes, so I will quickly say I am working with CCW, Copenhagen Championship Wrestling, and we have been running a project to bring Danish wrestling to Scotland. So we ran our first show in October, and there will be another show announced soon. And we are working on bringing talent from Europe over to Scotland and then vice versa, and trying to get a bigger mix of opponents and just do something that's not been done the way we're doing it before. So definitely keep an eye on CCW Copenhagen Championship Wrestling. I share the stuff very regularly, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. as well as the LKS Dojo, which is the training school that I now attend under Luke King Sharp. We've been going for a few months now, and we're expanding. There's been online classes, there's physical classes, and it's something that you should keep an eye on. Watch this space. And personally, I have Twitter, which is just Rubi Roberts BBS, Ruby spelled RUBI. TikTok, which is Rubi Roberts 0. Facebook and Instagram are Rubi Roberts BBS.
There you go. So check her out, you guys. You don't want to miss any of her stuff because she is a hard worker and we are doing nothing but rooting for her this coming year and for more years to come. But Ruby, thank you so much for coming on here. It was really lovely speaking with you, and I hope you enjoyed your time here on Turning Heel.
I did. Thank you so much for having me. I've been keeping a wee eye on your podcast for a while, and I was very flattered to be asked to come on, and I've had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well. And for all of you Contropidas, for the latest news on Turning Heel with Troy Gonzalez, be sure to follow the show on all platforms where you can find your podcasts on by checking out our link tree. That's linktr.ee/Turning Heel podcast. So thank you for all of your support, Contropidas. Once again, thank you, Ruby, for coming on here and sharing some of your stories. And see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.